this is a question I got this afternoon. What are the best exercises for kyphosis or hunched back? Okay, so that's the curvature of the upper back when we're kind of hunched over like that. So the good news is that pretty much all of the causes for kyphosis, the only exceptions being Sherman's disease, I think it's called. Let me know in the comments. Sherman's disease and slip discs are not helped by exercise. Those are the only two causes of kyphosis that would not be helped by exercise. But everything else, like osteoporosis and weakness of the muscles and all that kind of stuff, all of that stuff is helped by exercise. But let's talk about the best exercise for your posture. Okay, so obviously, well, hopefully, obviously, back exercises, really good. So how do you get at your back? Any kind of a pulling movement is going to be back related. So things like rows, things like pull-ups are fantastic for your back. But back is only half of the equation, and this is something that a lot of people forget, that a weak muscle is a tight muscle. A weak muscle is a tight muscle. So if we're looking at posture, particularly in the upper back, not only do we want to strengthen the muscles of the upper back, you want to strengthen the pectoral muscles, muscles of the chest. Because if those pectoral muscles are tight, they're going to pull you in like this, okay? So they're going to pull you in if they're tight. So doing chest work will also help your upper back, okay? So you want to do both. You want to have an even approach when it comes to strength training and selecting your exercises. So it's definitely understandable if you want to work on a certain area, you want to work on your posture, you want to do some extra for that area, but don't neglect the other body parts. You want to address the whole body, of course. But yes, any kind of pulling movement is great. Reverse flies, either holding onto a band and stretching the band apart, working those shoulder blades, squeezing them together, are fabulous. For chest, any kind of a pushing movements will get the chest, or chest flies, squeezing the chest together with a pair of dumbbells or bands like that. So upper back exercises, I would say if I had to pick top exercises. I was going to say top exercise. I was going to pick one. I was like, I don't know if I can do it. Okay, so one of my favorite exercises for back and posture is actually one we do in the warm-ups every single class for the nerd gym. And if you're actually squeezing your upper back muscles while you're doing it, it's really great. And that's just a stick up, y'all. That's starting with the thumbs at the shoulders, reaching up high, and then squeezing those shoulder blades down and together. Reaching up high and squeezing the shoulder blades down and together. And getting those elbows all the way down and the chest all the way open the entire time, also super important with that one. So making sure that you're doing that good range of motion, good posture in that position. Now if you can do that nice full range of motion with the arms in a seated position, and that's no problem, then get on your belly and lift your face away from the floor, lift your chest off the floor, and do that same movement. It's called a prone row, and it's one of my absolute top picks for strengthening upper back and lower back through that range of motion and just being able to do a body weight. So if you do some prone rows and you do some push-ups, you are golden, man. You just worked back by a little bit of biceps, not a whole lot of biceps, but back, upper, lower, lats. You worked chest and triceps with the push-up and some core. Yeah. So that would be my top pick for those. So strengthening the muscles is part of the equation. The other part, the osteoporosis, osteopenia, that I believe requires a little separate explanation, because while it's all well and good to do those exercises to strengthen those muscles so that we don't end up tight or with weird imbalances and just extra stress in general, one of the misconceptions about being able to make any headway when it comes to restoring bone density is that, well, number one, you can, with sufficient resistance training, begin to restore bone density. It's happened for a bunch of my clients. It's been scientifically documented at this point. if you're an older individual, you may have heard at some point in your lifespan that you cannot build bone density past your mid-20s. They found out later that that is not in fact true. You can build and rebuild bone density even after you're into the stages of osteopenia, osteoporosis, which again are one of the causes of kyphosis, right? So, but to do that, to build bone density, uh, effectively with strength training. And again, anything helps, right? Like lifting light helps, but lifting heavy enough is kind of what I'm going, where I'm going with this, right? You can kind of think of it as like minimum effective dose, right? So too little a dose won't kill you, and it might help a bit, but if you actually want to see appreciable progress in the right direction, then we have to be lifting heavier. How heavy? Gosh, I think the formula is something like 1/10 of 1% of the amount of force it would take to break the bone. All that you don't need to know. What you need to know is you should be lifting a weight or doing an exercise that is difficult enough that you couldn't do more than 10 reps if your life depended on it consecutively, right? 10 reps consecutively. If you can do 11, 12, 13 more reps consecutively, you will get benefit. You will get stronger. You will get neurological connections. You will get, what's it called? Endurance, cardio. You get a lot of benefits over with lifting higher reps, lighter weight. And I think for a lot of folks who do have osteoporosis or who have had injuries, they are extra shy about getting into doing the, what's it called? Doing the heavier lifting, because it is unnerving. We don't want to hurt ourselves, especially if we've already been hurt. But to actually impact bone density, you have to be lifting heavy enough that the body will stimulate growth in that bone. Remember, the body is lazy. The body wants to conserve energy. That's the body's whole goal. So there's a very simple kind of use it or lose it rule once you get past your mid-20s. If you don't use it, you lose it. If you don't need the bone density, you don't get the bone density. If you don't need the strength, you don't get the strength. If you don't need the range of motion, you don't get the range of motion. You have to use it, otherwise you lose it. Okay, so we want to lift at a heft that we can't do more than 10 reps. We want to do at least 3 sets of the exercise, so 3 sets of, 5 to 10 reps. Now, as far as lifting very, very heavy goes, I would say that for most people, especially who have osteoporosis, osteopenia, to avoid risk of injury, I wouldn't lift anything that was too much below our 5 rep threshold, right? So if you can't lift it at least 5 reps, then you better have some exercise history, some semblance of form and body awareness before doing that heavy 5. But heavy 5 to 10, that's going to be fine for most people, as long as you are practicing correct form. Maybe get some guidance if you're not sure. That would be my major recommendation. And we have some wonderful coaches at the Nerd Gym who are very ready, willing, and able to help you out in your own home via virtual online training. We'll Zoom in, do a Zoom call with you, check your form. But yeah, so kyphosis, if we're looking at the osteoporosis, osteopenia issue, any and all exercises you do should be done with a weight that is heavier than you can lift for 10 reps. And yeah, and that heavy weight will stimulate bone density, it'll stimulate connective tissue density, so you will be stronger and more resilient all the way through to the bone. Pretty cool, right? So yes. And as far as exercises to strengthen and open the chest, my top 2 picks would be prone rows and push-ups, which you can do with no equipment, anywhere, anytime. Hey, go ahead and do some right now, and I'll see you on the next one. Drop any questions you have in the comments, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.